You likely saw the news on social media breaking that Connor Payday is returning to the BYU football program in 2024. What is making him want to run it back for another season with the Cougars? We're talking about all of it ahead on Locked On Cougars.
You are Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast on the BYU Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jake Hatch, your host here on Locked On Cougars, your resident BYU insider. Thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Thank you to all of you who are everydayers with us here on the podcast. Appreciate all of your patronage. And of course, we are your original daily podcast focused on all things BYU. I want to remind you guys that today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Please welcome in now BYU team captain and now returning senior to the BYU football program, Connor Payday. He's been joining us all season long. Connor, what is up, my man?
How's it going? Quite the introduction. Saying senior feels very strange. I don't like that.
Well, you were technically a redshirt junior, weren't you? Was that what it was?
Yep. So I was a junior last year. It just feels, time flies. It feels weird.
I can understand that. Well, let's start here. Obviously, I mentioned the fact that you're running it back for another season at BYU. Let's just start. Why? Why did you decide you're coming back?
Well, there was a lot of factors. And I think for me, 2023 was always, it was always a plan for that to be my final season at BYU. Coming into the 2023 season, my NFL stock was high. And unfortunately with how we played, struggling to run the ball, struggling on offense, going 5-7, everyone on the team, their stock went down, and I've mentioned this before, but it's tried and true that the teams that win the most games get the most guys drafted. And so, for me, coming back for my senior season started to make a lot of sense when, in talking with the agents that I've been talking to and things like that, seeing where I stood and seeing how my stock had fallen a little bit. Because, the reality was that if I come back this next season and it goes similarly to how this last season went, I'd be in the exact same spot as I am now. But the upside of coming back this next season was huge for me to come out. And if we come out and we win a lot of games and win more games, which I think we will, and have a chance to push for, a conference championship, that can be a huge thing in terms of NFL draft stock. And so that was the first factor. And then obviously the coaching change played a big role in that as well. And, hopefully BYU will get that done soon. And announce officially who that coach is going to be. But, that coaching change definitely played a role in my return. And I think we can probably talk about that one a little more later after BYU makes a public announcement. And, hopefully they can close the deal and hopefully they can get us a great O-line coach. And so I'm looking forward to that. But those were kind of the main things. So, and another huge thing is, I was a true junior last year academically,
okay,
as well. And so I'll have the chance to finish my degree over this next year from the Marriott School of Business, which is a prestigious, there we go. See, I don't belong in the Marriott School, but I snuck in somehow.
Hey,
but it's a pretty prestigious degree. And so being able to leave college with a degree and not have to worry about coming back and finishing, I think will also be, a big deal and a huge advantage too. So.
Now, obviously, there's going to be a lot of attention paid to the offensive line with coaching moves and the like, but how confident are you as you return here that you can be the leader to no matter who that coach ends up being and whoever else they may add via the transfer portal? How confident are you that you can be a leader, if not the leader of this unit?
I mean, very confident. I think I've been doing it, and so I think we can kind of continue with how that leadership has gone. Obviously, its forms will be a little different. Already had a couple players meetings with the guys, just with all the changes happening, and just letting them know that this year is going to be different, that the standard is going to be higher, because this is, in a very real sense, this is my last chance. And so I'm not going to screw it up. And so if that means that I'm not your friend for a little while I just push you to get to a different standard, then so be it. But I also can't do that if I'm not at a much higher standard myself. And so I'm excited to do that and be a part of that. We've already kind of started the process, and everyone in the O-line room, I can look at every one of those guys, and I know that they want to be the best. And, I think some quality changes have been made, and some toxicity is now gone. I think it's a clean slate and a chance for everybody to just hone in and just be the best group that we can be. And I have great relationships with some of our portal targets as well. And so, I mean, ideally, you don't have to go fishing in the portal every season. But I think just to fill out the depth a little bit, A, just because we're low on numbers right now, but B, we're also a little bit low on experience. Just to fill out a couple spots, going and getting some portal guys, and I have good relationships with the targets. But ideally you bring in your high school guys, you develop them into the players you want to be, and you reload every single season. And development is something that just hasn't been happening over the last 3 seasons, so we're a little bit behind on that. And so I think getting in a couple portals guys to come help be leaders who have experience, so that way these young guys in our room, the guys who have been here for 1 or 2 seasons now that maybe just haven't played, and also the high school kids coming in January and also in June, will have a good foundation that they can build upon to go and be contributors in the years coming. So
you talk about the lack of development. Is that just a simple fact of how the coaching style was under the previous offensive line regime?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. We'll leave that as it stands. I do have a couple other questions about obviously what you're expecting to do moving forward here with this offensive line that we'll dig into. Before we do that, though, do need to get a word in on our friends over at Game Time. They've been working with us for quite a while now. The best part about Game Time, my friends, is they want to help you guys out, get to the events that you want to go to, whether you want to go to music, comedy, sports, theater events, all available near you. You can do it with our friends at Game Time with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. As simple as that, my friends. The best part is you can purchase your tickets in seconds, with just 2 taps inside the Game Time app. All in prices show your total upfront, so you're getting a great deal without those hidden fees that seem to pop up on other platforms. So get on it today, my friends, and check it out. The Game Time guarantee means you'll get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. They have that guarantee in terms of their prices being the absolute best. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, terms apply. Again, create that account, use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege. It's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at the Locked On Sports Today national streaming channel, my friends. Check it out. It is a fantastic new feature covering the top stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel right now. All right. Continuing on now with Connor Pay and talking a little bit more about the offensive line. And Connor, you talk about the fact that you're not going to be afraid to really kind of lay it out there for guys of what you expect from them going into the season. Is the biggest thing that you're looking forward to in terms of your job as leader, whether it is with high school guys that are developing in this program or they do end up being transfer portal targets coming in, is essentially that you want to build the relationship amongst all of them to have that camaraderie? Because you talk about some toxicity exiting the program. I'm sure that affected some of the play on the field.
No, for sure. And I think a lot of that kind of stemmed from a lack of a standard being
Okay.
held, and kind of efforts from me and a couple other guys to set that standard kind of being upended a little bit, and us kind of getting in trouble for trying to set a standard because we cared so much about people's feelings. And that made it hard. It really did. And I don't see any of that with this group. And and so I think that camaraderie is a huge thing. I mean, we've already gone as an O-line, in the last few weeks. We played basketball together, we've lifted together and stuff. And so I think that's something, as a leader, that's something I for sure want to emphasize this offseason. We're already talking to the guys about planning on going on a weekend trip together and like doing things like that, because as silly as that seems, that off the field stuff really matters, especially for an offensive line when you kind of have to be working like this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The more time you spend together, the more you're going to trust the dudes around you. And so I definitely want to do that, more of that this off season. And, I know the guys want to. It's fun to hang out together. And so I know the guys want to do that more. And but also that trust and camaraderie comes from, working together as well, where it's like not just the standard hours or the practices. That's what everybody does. You're not better than anybody else, just because you went to the mandatory stuff. That's what every O-line in America does. But it's what are you doing outside of those hours, the extra hours that you would put in, to try to take yourself to another level. That's what separates a great O-line from, a mediocre one. And we had mixes of it last year where it was like guys like Paul, who wanted to grind and wanted to work. Paul and I were in that O-line room watching film every day of the week together, and there were other guys too that were willing to put in that extra work, and then there were other guys who weren't. And when you don't do it together as a group and you can't get some of the guys to do it, that kind of hurts the camaraderie of the group. And so, but I see nothing but guys who are willing to do that right now, which gives me a lot of optimism, and definitely played a role in, me wanting to come back. So.
All right, so we've got some questions that were sent in by some listeners. One of them was, I was going to ask. I'm going to give the credit to Jordan on this. It says, question for Connor: what is he wanting to improve the most with another year at BYU to help him prepare for the NFL draft? So we'll start with that. What are you looking forward to improving the most as an offensive lineman?
I think by just my technique in general needs to improve. Just there are some specific things that I think that I can improve on. So technique is one, just because I feel like when it comes to the mental side of the game, I'm pretty dialed in on that stuff. I'm not going to make mental errors. Mm-hmm. But I do make physical mistakes. And so I think I need to improve my technique is probably the biggest thing, is knowing what to do is, only half the battle. You got to know how to do it, and not even how to do it, but how to do it most effectively in that specific situation, because one guy moves 1 foot or a linebacker moves 1 yard, your techniques completely change a lot of the time. And so I think just dialing in on some of those things. And I think, bringing in a new coach will help me with that. And I'm excited about that.
Okay, so related question. This one comes from Ethan. He asked this. Can you ask Connor what caused some games, like he mentions the Oklahoma and Oklahoma State games in particular, where he said the offensive line was phenomenal versus other games where things struggled? Does that go back to kind of your previous answer, Connor, where you felt like some guys weren't necessarily having all the buy-in that maybe you and some of the others did? Is that the answer?
I think that's definitely part of it. But, in those last 2 games, we had nothing to lose.
Okay.
And so it was just for whatever reason that got guys into the mindset that they should have been in all year long, or it's like, hey, I'm just going to go do my job as best I can and see what happens, because a lot of those plays early in the year, it's like 10 guys doing it really well, and then there's one guy that's blowing up the play, because he screws up his assignment. And those last 2 games, everybody was dialed in on their assignment. No one was doing anything spectacular. You were just doing what you were supposed to do. And when everyone does what they're supposed to do, then it makes the backs reads easier because they know how you're supposed to be coming off this combo or doing those things. For the quarterback, it's easier because they know who you're picking up in pass protection and things like that. And so that's what I would attribute to, the running game, especially, is just guys doing what they were supposed to do. Not trying to do too much, not doing too little, just doing exactly what their job is. And then when all 11 guys do that, you can get 5 or 6 yards a pop.
All right. So I think you've already kind of alluded to this question, but I'm just going to ask it straight up and let Byron have the word on this. So I'm going to ask the question. You can answer this however you want. Connor says, I want to ask Connor, is he glad there was a coaching change on the offensive line? And does he feel like that coaching change will and can yield better results overall?
To answer that question, I do want to say how appreciative I was of everything Coach Funk did for us, and how hard he worked. But I do think that the coaching change was absolutely necessary for us to just move forward as a program, and as an offensive line. And to answer the second part of his question, that yes, I do think the coaching change will be able to help, fix some of the issues that we saw this past season.
Now, another question. This is the second part of Jordan's question. I'm just going to get back to it real quick. Are you being taken care of NIL wise? That makes it worth your while to come back.
Well, BYU is always taking good care of me, but NIL didn't really play a huge role in my return. If that was the forefront, I definitely wouldn't be at BYU.
Okay.
Because I have been offered a lot more money to go other places, but BYU is creating a more sustainable NIL design. But no, if you're looking for hundreds of thousands of dollars, BYU isn't necessarily the place. But no, I think, would I like more? Sure. Who doesn't want more money? But am I worth that? I don't know. That's not for me to decide. I think it's a little easier for someone like a really good quarterback or running back or receiver to demand more money because they're more marketable. But for an offensive lineman, I don't really know. Would I like more money? Of course. Who doesn't want more money? But, I think, maybe I'll go have some conversations and see what I can work out and be like, look, I've had the chance to leave like 3 different times, and I've stayed loyal to BYU, really at the detriment to my personal goals, really. If we're being honest, I feel like maybe I should be compensated for that. But also, I don't really care that much. And so, like, I'm making plenty, to take care of myself. And so, maybe I'll float that out there and see what BYU wants to do with that. But definitely not something that, is at the forefront of my mind or really played any part in the decision making.
Well, I think you and I both know that there's one ready-made NIL deal that needs to be done, and it's that deal with that Domino's you got down the street from you. Because if you've been eating there as often as you have, they should take care of you.
They do take care of me. I don't even say nothing. They send me an email when they take forever to deliver it and give me a free pizza. I don't say nothing. I don't report it. It's totally ethical.
Yeah.
I pay for like 1 in every 3 pizzas probably.
Let's just get all the pizzas paid for via NIL.
I know, but I also I would love to do an NIL deal with them, but I also don't want to put them out of business.
Sure. So. Okay. Fair enough. All right. I got a few more questions from my end. Also, a couple more from listeners we'll get to here in just a moment. Before we do that, though, do need to get another word in on our friends over at Prize Picks. Now, Prize Picks has been working with us for quite a while now. The best part about Prize Picks is if you want to play daily fantasy sports, it is the largest platform in North America to do that. They are the easiest, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports, and it's just you versus the numbers. Set out to battle thousands of other people in a competition where you've going up against pros and sharks. You pick more or less less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. It's as simple as that. Right now, you can combo both football and basketball picks, whether calling them as specials leagues, a league created specifically for combo projections that include 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. For example, you could take LeBron James and Travis Kelce. Let's say CJ McCollum and Tyreek Hill. It could be a combo of a 10.5 on 3-pointers made and receptions. You think they're going to go more than that? You pick it, you lock it in, you go up to 25 times your bet amount. It's really that simple, my friends. It's a fantastic way to have fun with daily fantasy sports. They feature quick withdrawals, easy game plan, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes PrizePicks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. So get on it today and visit our friends at prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use the promo code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match of up to $100. Once again, that's prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege. Use the promo code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match of up to $100. And check it out, my friends. That's all courtesy of PrizePicks. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at Utah Community Credit Union. They have the Learn and Earn feature as part of the UCCU mobile banking app. It is paying your entire family to learn about money. All of us want to be smarter when it comes to our finances, and of course, they can do that with the Learn and Earn feature inside the app. It breaks down financial topics into fun, bite-sized educational games like quizzes and trivia. And every time a family member completes a topic, you earn points that accrue and can be redeemed for gift cards to stores like Amazon, Apple, Sephora, Walmart, Nike, and many, many more. There's age-appropriate content for every member of the family who can compete against one another and track your progress on leaderboards. Learn and Earn is available inside the UCCU mobile banking app, so you can play it literally anytime, anywhere. And of course, the more you play, the more you learn. And the more you learn, of course, the more you earn. Learn and Earn, part of UCCU's award-winning Be Money Smart Youth Banking Program, helping kids, teens, and parents have fun while becoming more financially literate together. It's all courtesy of your friends at UCCU. Love where you bank. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. I want to encourage you guys, if you have not done so already, please sign up for our subtext community as part of the Locked On Cougars podcast. All the questions I have asked Connor today on the show have come from our subtext community. So if you want to be a part of that, you can get it in the show notes. Whether you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening to it wherever you get your podcast, you can tune in that way. All right, let's talk a little bit more with you, Connor. A good question coming in from Brian here. We'll start off with this one. Can you ask Connor which position on the offensive line he prefers to play? Because obviously we saw you start the season last year at guard, having played center before that, and then you made the midseason move back to center. Do you have a preferred position at this point?
I would say definitely center. I feel like, and that might be just because how many more snaps I have at that position versus guard. And so I think center is the one I'm definitely more comfortable. I think it's the one probably because of the last 3 seasons that I'm better at.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and moving to guard was fine. I had no problem doing that, and I feel like I played pretty well. And then, game 4, game 5, and it's like, okay, I'm finally hitting my stride. I'm getting back into the swing of things at guard. It had been a season since I'd done it. Then they moved me back to center. So, I think center is definitely the spot.
All right. So Brian and let's see, I think it's Weston. They both had a similar question I'm going to pose to you. They both asked, can you ask Connor who currently still on the team? So we're talking young players, maybe another offensive lineman that started last year, whoever it may be, Connor. Who are some of the guys Cougar fans should be keeping an eye on offensive line wise moving forward alongside yourself?
Well, I think just based off how he did last year, and he's got 2 more seasons. I think Waylon's kind of the obvious name.
Okay.
Right. Sophomore last year, started every game that he was healthy for us. And so I think Waylon's done a really good job. But there's a whole group of young guys who, it's a little bit unknown, just haven't had the chance to prove themselves yet in a real game. Seen them practice a bunch, and I've watched them improve over the last season or two, but just haven't seen them get any live reps yet. And so, I think that group of young guys, will have a chance this season to come out and show that they belong on the field. As a clean slate for everybody with a new coach coming in, and a chance to make a good first impression and a push to get you on the field. So I think Waylon's kind of the obvious one, and kind of those younger guys, and then anyone from that younger group who makes a move this this season to get up in the lineup.
I'm assuming you're talking about guys like Peter Folinico, Trevin Osler, Weston Jones, Jake Griffin, those type of guys.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I've got just a personal question on that front. How exciting and also kind of in a way terrifying is it to have a new coach and know that you've got to kind of go out and reprove yourself to a new guy?
I'm pretty fired up about it. Because that's, it's kind of a unique fire when you're trying to prove yourself to somebody new. Where it's like, I had to do it with Coach Grimes and Coach Mateos, and kind of earn their trust to get my way into the 2 deep and then eventually to play in the bowl game. And then when Coach Funk came in, had to earn it with him. And so I'm pretty excited now as an older player, as a veteran player, having 35 whatever starts under my belt at this point, getting that kind of young guy fire back to go prove yourself again is pretty exciting. And because your motivation, your fire comes from different places as you kind of get older as a player. All stemming from your love for the game and your love from your teammates at the heart of it. But I'm really excited about it personally, and I'm really excited to kind of learn what new stuff he has. If he wants to make some scheme changes, some things that I haven't learned yet, because I know this system so well now that I'm pretty excited to learn something new to kind of build on the knowledge base that I already have of our offense and of offensive line play in general. So.
All right. So I was going to ask this question myself, but Nate also asked a similar question. How confident, and you already kind of alluded to this earlier, how confident are you guys will get some guys or at least a guy out of the transfer portal to add to your offensive line room and help bolster this position group?
Very confident.
Okay. Fair enough. I like that. We'll see what happens on that front. Now, a final thing for me, Connor, just kind of a fun question out of the way. You and I both talked about how we both really enjoy Christmas. So how is the Christmas season treating you? I know it's probably a little different this year, not having a bowl game. You had finals ongoing. Have you been able to really kind of enjoy the holiday quite yet or not yet?
A little bit. Yeah. So I do. I love Christmas, and this one has been a little weird, not having football, like having a few mandatory workouts, but not a ton. And so I've had a lot more time than I'm used to. So like I'm getting all this schoolwork done, and I'm like, man, like I don't know how regular. I guess if you work a job, but if you're just a student full time, like if you can't get like a 99% in every class, like you're an idiot, because like all this extra time, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have the time to study. I actually can know this stuff really well. And like, man, this is crazy. And that was a joke, by the way. BYU classes are hard. I get it. But I actually got this last weekend, me and Tanner Wall and Cody Epps, John Nelson, Chase Roberts, and Eddie Heckert. We went down to Vegas to help a company called Western Elite. They're a landfill, but they have a ranch in North Las Vegas. Or is it north? It's like 50 miles away from Area 51, whatever, probably northwest, I think.
Yeah.
And they have a bunch of really cool things at this ranch, and they throw this massive Christmas party every year. And it's free for people. And they come in, they do a toy drive, they make all this food, and it's just on this ranch. And they do like the Polar Express. They have these old train cars that they got because they're a landfill. They just take people's garbage and build it into something cool. They have this old train depot and these old train cars, and they go around and they have like their kids in their ward and kids in the neighborhood act out different scenes, at different parts of the ranch. And it's pulled by a semi truck, and you just drive around on this train. And they act out scene. They got the conductor from the Polar Express, the kid running around the hobo on the roof. Like, it's really cool. And I guess like they get like 3,000 people a night coming to go and do that and ride the Christmas Express is what they call it. And so we got to go down and do that for 2 nights. And, you kind of get so entrenched in the Christmas spirit in a scenario like that I came back like fired up. Like we need to start doing some Christmas stuff. But no, it's been treating me really well. I'm ready to get these finals done and, go spend time with family next week and, just enjoy the holidays. So.
All right. Well, what I'm expecting now that you've mentioned that is you're going to be on the dean's list. It looks like this next semester, Connor, and then also it sounds like you're gonna have a good Christmas. So
I don't even know how to get on the dean's list. I don't even know what the marks are to get on the
if you're
dean's list.
you said you're getting 99%, dude. That's dean's list territory.
I've gotten like 3 free suits because I have a good GPA. So I think I'm doing well academically. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. But I'm doing fine. Okay, I'm doing fine.
That's what we like to hear. Well, Connor, I appreciate it as always. I know there's some people that are wondering why we didn't talk about the you already kind of mentioned it, about the offensive line coach. When it becomes official, we'll get you back on. And this is something you and I are going to do throughout the offseason. We're going to essentially track your life here on the podcast, checking in periodically throughout the offseason and throughout the upcoming football season to give people kind of an insight into how it's all going. So looking forward to working with you. Excited to have you back. And of course, thanks as always for taking some time.
No problem. Looking forward to it. You get to dip into my boring life all off season long. So,
well, I can tell you Cougar fans are excited for it. Obviously, big thanks to you, Connor. Thank you to all of you guys out there for tuning in. It's always a pleasure to be with you guys every single day. Thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first listen. And, of course, thank you to all of you once again for being everydayers with us here on the podcast. Once again, sign up for that subtext community right now. Be a part of it. Get your chance to submit questions and just have interaction with the show that you won't get anywhere else. You can get that in the show notes wherever you get your podcast, or if you're watching this on YouTube, just scroll down a little bit. You'll see it in the show notes. Until next time, this has been the Locked On Cougars podcast. Have a great day. See ya.